What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin, and where do all fights start? Round one. Let's get this show popping. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to break down, and we're going to be talking about Naoya Inoue and Sam Goodman, and I want to show some videos and highlights on Naoya Inoue and Sam Goodman. So stay with us here at Round One Sports TV. Don't forget to give those videos a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. So what's up, fight fans? Man, we got a lot to talk about. I got a late start today. A lot of running around during these Christmas holidays. I hope you and your loved ones are safe this holiday season, and may you have a great Christmas. So, Naoya Inoue, he's coming into a big fight against Sam Goodman, where he's putting up all 4 belts. It's a very big fight. It's a fight I can't wait to see. More and more as we get closer to the fight, I start to realize more and more that yes, I do in fact want to see this fight, and Sam Goodman is a worthy opponent, and he's deserving of this fight against Naoya Inoue. And Naoya Inoue is a Japanese fighter, right? He's considered to be by many the best fighter in our era right now, pound for pound, if not number 1 or number 2 to the one and only Terrence Crawford. So Naoya Inoue right now, he's coming into a big fight. He's currently 28 fights, 25 ways by knockout, 0 losses, 0 no contests. Okay, he has a 67 arm reach. He has an 89% knockout ratio. He's 31 years old and he's 5'5", and he's ranked number 1 in the world at the 122-pound weight division, where he unified all 4 belts. So that's who Naoya Inoue is. We're going to be taking a look at Naoya Inoue's boxing style and his punching power. I want to show you a little bit about this man and what makes him so special amongst fighters. So I want to take a look at some of his performances, and his opponent is Sam Goodman. He's an Australian fighter. Sam Goodman is a very good fighter in his own right. He has 19 fights, 8 knockouts. He has a 42% knockout ratio. He is currently ranked number 1 among Australian fighters, right? He's ranked number 3 in the world at 122 pounds. He's 5'6". He's 26 years old, fairly young, and he's undefeated. So he's a worthy opponent, and he's also ranked by 2 of the major sanctioning bodies. He's ranked by the IBF number 1, and he's ranked by the WBO number 1. When we think about this fight, Naoya Inoue is so dominant in the ring of late, where that people are starting to really recognize who he is. I really shared with you something yesterday on my live stream that I really never even shared before, and how he obtained all 4 belts in 2 separate weight divisions, which in fact, he ended up doing all of that in a single calendar year. It was truly amazing. He got 8 belts in 1 year. He got 4 of those belts within 6 months. From the time that he unified at 118. So when you look at his career, okay, how did he do this? How special is Naoya Inoue? How good is he? So we're going to take a look at it, right? And let's look at some of Naoya Inoue's performances, and when we look at Naoya Inoue, what I want you to see, I'm going to show you right now. I have him on the screen, right? This is Naoya Inoue. He's in there with Jason Maloney. And I believe that this fight right here was in New York or something. I sometimes I get some of the fights confused in the places because he's fought in some interesting places, but yet he's highly criticized for not coming to the US. But this fight in particular right here happens to be in the US in the corona epidemic where there was no crowd. And I think that that affected him because no one really got to come out and see him. Had this fight right here in particular had a crowd to cheer this fight on right here, okay? Let's take a look at some of Naoya Inoue's skills, and I want you to see it for yourself. Let roll the clip.
Yeah, devastation. Thank you. Thank you.
That did you see that? Jason Maloney threw the double jab in that instant. He threw the double jab, right? Naoya Inoue evaded the first one and he got hit by the second one to deliver his shot. And he hit him with a check hook and sat Maloney down. It was quick. And Maloney really didn't do anything wrong. You're taught to throw the double jab, but if you don't throw it at the right distance and at the right angle, you can get set up with shots like that. So let's continue to watch. 1, 2, he hit a boom.
Inoue's a good finisher too.
Nice. Now check out. Damn. We got to see that one more time. I got to play that one more time. I have to play that one more time, guys. Okay? Look at the shot, how he hits him in between. There's not a lot of fighters that can do this, anticipate your movement and react to it with confidence and throw a shot with confidence, right? Maloney throws his shot. Naoya Inoue with just a slight flick of his neck. He went like this, evaded his shot, stood in the pocket. He didn't flinch backwards. He didn't allow Maloney to take him out of position. Like sometimes when another fighter will throw a punch at a fighter, the fighter will have a tendency of either putting up his high guard or getting out of the way, right? Because the other guy's going to throw a punch. Naoya Inoue stood there like a statue and he fired his shot right. Yo, listen, like a rocket. Let's take a look at it again. Yo, that was beautiful. Look at this. Look, watch this. We gotta watch this again. Hold on. Yo, that
takes 2 steps back.
If you could hear
that was tough. That was tough. Yo, so he has great power. He has good power. Maloney is a tough fighter. He is a tough fighter. He has a twin brother, another Australian fighters, and Maloney in his own right is a good fighter, and the way he just dismantled that man, and right there it speaks to his one punch knockout power. Naoya Inoue's one punch knockout power, and it shows you with just one shot, boom, he will turn your lights out. Now he's not a one-dimensional fighter where that some guys only rely on just their power, their speed. Naoya Inoue can truly do it all. And I want to showcase this fight right here with Des Marinas, right? I want you to take a look at this. This is Des Marinas right here. And this is pretty much one of the most vicious body assaults on a boxer's body, but it also showcases Des Marinas' warrior spirit, okay? And his toughness and his willingness not to give up in the fight or give up on himself. I really commended Des Marinas for showing his toughness in this fight right here. Sometimes you could say a guy is too tough for himself and he's just a punching bag. But Des Marinas was really trying to gather himself and stay in the fight. At no point in Des Marinas' eyes did I see that he wanted out of the fight. He knew he was hurt. He knew that he needed to buy time, but he never looked like he wanted out. No, he wanted a fight, right? He was just too hurt. Let's check it out. Let's check out one of the most vicious body assaults I've seen in quite some time in boxing, and the slick style that Naoya Inoue lands these body shots. He doesn't really need to like dig into his body. You'll see what I mean. He has like a body shot that looks like a whip. It makes like a whipping motion. Like it starts off here and then it just, crazy speed whips and it like grazes the liver. And that shot radiates through the boxer's body. It's worse. I'd rather get hit solid where that the shot goes boom and it's just that force of pain. Now you got that. When he whips it like that, that shit echoes through your body, man. It is just a vicious body. Watch, you'll see it for yourself. Let's check it out.
Notice. Moving, trying not to stand directly in front of Inoue. He's saying, I know you got punching power, but you got to catch me.
The fact that Inoue is in range to land is unnerving.
Most of his shots in the first round, if you see, are to the head.
The undefeated champion, the 3-division world champion.
His guard, did you see that? That was like pinpoint accuracy. Desmarines just happened to raise his guards like this. He got hit and it went right back down here. It was so fast. It was like within like millimeters. He put his hand right underneath his elbows and caught his side. That's called timing and great positioning. He has a great understanding and where and when to throw a punch. That is key to a fighter success. The where and the when, not just throwing your punch and then throwing your punch with conviction because it's going to land. When a fighter's just throwing punches, they're just throwing hard punches. They're throwing it with conviction sometimes, but they're most likely they're hoping it lands. They just throw it in the general direction where they believe the target is at. Naoya Inoue throws his punch with confidence, knowing that he's setting his fighter up and he's coming in for the kill. There's a difference. I want you to continue looking at this assault.
Knockdown scored
Look
by
at
the
this
monster.
Ow, ow, ow. Man. That is some beautiful work right there. Look, Desmarines at that point in the fight was trying to survive. He was circling the ring. He was trying to buy himself some time, and he was trying to protect the body. He was trying to recuperate to see if he can get that pain in his liver to stop, hurting so much and relax a little. Naoya Inoue just doesn't give the fighter that kind of time. He's in your face, pushing the action. He's really good when it comes to his movement and his footwork. 1 minute he's on the outside of you, and with just a bouncing motion, all of a sudden he's like right in front of you. And Desmarines tried fighting him back. As you can see, he tried throwing body shots at Inoue, and Inoue with simple movements, just block, block, block. He knew that if he was cutting off one side of your body and giving the pressure, you only got two hands. You're going to throw either to my body or you're going to go up top. Simp, pop, pop, pop. So he has all the answers. He's usually 2 or 3 steps ahead of these guys, and they don't realize that until the fight is over, where they start to realize how smart he was. And sometimes you don't want to realize that when he has you hurt. If you can figure that out and settle into the fight and say, wait a minute, this guy's a lot better than what I thought, but I'm not hurt yet. So now you have a chance. You're still together, and you have a chance to fight and approach the fight differently in that moment. But now if you go in there thinking, oh, this guy is not who they say he is, and you go in and you get hit and hurt bad, you're getting up and you're saying to yourself, oh shit, this guy's a lot better than I thought. But now you're hurt. Now your legs might not be responding, your reaction time, your cat-like reflexes, and you don't really you don't have all your wits together. You don't have everything you need to at least try to evade him. Now you're like staggering, like, oh shit, and it's too late. By that point, it is too late. Naoya Inoue is one of the most devastating finishers boxing has seen in a long time. He has like a basic 100% finish rate if he gets you hurt. I have never seen anyone survive. Donaire technically in the Donaire one, if we want to talk back that fight, Donaire actually got knocked out in that fight, people. He got knocked out in that fight. That fight was over with. I don't see often when you hit a guy in the body and Donaire's running around the ring and the referee comes in and physically bumps Naoya Inoue with his belly. He gives him a belly bump in the middle of the ring to push Naoya Inoue away from Donaire. Where do they do that at? Where the referee, when they do that, it's typically when the referee was like, okay, that's it. The fighter had enough. And he came in to protect the fighter. The fight's over. Instead, the referee blocked Naoya Inoue from finishing off Donaire and then turns around and starts counting. Then he's doing some other. He gave Donaire enough time to recuperate and survive the round. But he technically got knocked out, just like we feel Buster Douglas got knocked out against Mike Tyson, and they counted past 10. And somehow the referee forgot how to count in that very moment. Same thing, same similar thing, but the referee helped and to save Donaire in that fight. If not, Donaire gets knocked out in that fight. So a lot of us know that. A lot of us that have been paying attention to Naoya Inoue's career, we know technically he knocked him out, bro. All right? It is what it is, right? So when we're looking at Naoya Inoue's fighting style, right? I want to continue
big
here.
Time shot to the body by Inoue.
Look at the pain on this man's face, and so simple, so simple, and the way he's winning and the way he's beating these good. Des Marinas is a good fighter, bro. People don't do this to Des Marinas. People don't do that to Stephen Kubo Fulton. People have not done that, to like Donaire like that. Well, that other dude did knock him out viciously, so let me take that one back, right? Right? But he's making it look so easy, in fact, that people are starting to question the people he fought. And I'm here to tell you that the men that he fought were actually really great boxers. He's just what we call in this game levels above them. When we say there's levels to this, Naoya Inoue is truly on a different level. So when you see him fighting these guys, quickly people want to take away from the guys that he's fighting. I dare you, watch any of Naoya Inoue's opponents' previous fights against anyone else. You're going to look at those guys and you're going to say, wait a minute, these guys can fight. Paul Butler, all of them, they can fight. Emmanuel Rodriguez, he can fight. A lot of these guys are good fighters. He's just making them look average, like really average. It's what he's doing. Naoya Inoue's fighting style, as you can see, as we've been watching, he's like, he's got to be one of the most efficient fighters I've seen in a long time, where that he can truly do it all, in every aspect of the game, whether it's footwork, offense, power, speed, agility, defense, boxing intuitive, being mentally sound. He doesn't allow doubt to creep into his head in the fight. He's probably the most complete fighter, I'm trying to tell you, that I've seen in quite some time. Let's continue to see some of his work.
My 3 body shot knockdowns and a knockout.
Okay.
Big difference
This
here.
is Nonito Donaire versus Naoya Inoue right here. This is the first round of the fight. I want you to notice that it's the first round of the fight. 2 minutes and 2 seconds have already gone by in this fight at this point right here. Naoya Inoue came into this fight against Nonito Donaire, and which many considered Nonito Donaire being his toughest fight to date, the way that he fought him in the World Series of Boxing, where that Naoya Inoue was victorious and he walked off with the Covenant Muhammad Ali trophy. At that point, Nonito Donaire wanted another shot at Naoya Inoue. He wanted another shot at him. And what he wanted to do was fight him again. But Naoya Inoue won't fight you just for anything. If he beats you, he beats you. He's moving on to bigger and better things. The only way that Nonito Donaire made himself irrelevant again to fight him was because he went out and secured the WBC 118-pound championship of the world. So now he had something that the Japanese superstar wanted. So enters Nonito Donaire again. He comes into this fight, the IBF champion, the WBC champion. I'm sorry, it was the WBC. And he's fighting for unification in the second bout. Let's take a look at how the second bout played out.
The gloves that are being worn by both fighters.
One more thing. I'm glad that he said that. The gloves that are being worn right now are Reyes horsehair gloves. And why this is important to bring up, okay, in their first fight, Naoya Inoue fights with winning boxing gloves. Winning boxing gloves are these gloves that are more heavily padded to the knuckles. They're for fighters. They're a fighter's glove so that the fighter doesn't break their hand. But in fact, it's harder to knock a person out with those gloves because there's so much padding. It's kind of like you wearing headgear. It's giving the other opponent headgear, at least that kind of protection with those padded gloves. Nonito Donaire didn't like those gloves, and he felt like that big shot he landed on Naoya Inoue in the second round where he broke his orbital bone. Had he been wearing horsehair Reyes gloves when he landed that shot against Naoya Inoue, he believes he would have ended Naoya Inoue right there with that one shot. And if you cracked his orbital bone with one shot, there's a possibility he could have knocked Naoya Inoue out with that shot if he had horsehair Reyes gloves on. I'm more inclined to thinking he might have a point there, right? Or we don't know. How we also got to give Naoya Inoue his credit for being tough. He did fight with a cracked orbital bone since the second round and got his nose broken in the fight and won the fight. And he has a good chin. We seen it when he took the punch against Luis Bateranari. He got up, and what did he do? So he has an iron chin. So maybe he knocks him out and finishes him, or maybe he pisses off Naoya Inoue, and he wakes up a sleeping dragon. I don't know, right? So Donaire felt like in that fight, when he went into the second fight, his only request was, I don't want to wear winning boxing gloves. I want us both to wear horsehair Reyes gloves, right? And I want to fight him like that. That's my request. So Naoya Inoue pleased him and said, you don't want me to wear the gloves that have more protections to help you out? Okay, put them horsehair Reyes gloves on me. Let's see how this works out.
They're puncher's gloves.
That was slick. That was slick. If you don't know what happened there, that was another case of, like I said, typically when you're in a boxing match and you threw a punch at a guy, he's going to flinch. He's either going to flinch, he's going to try to block it, or he's going to try to fade away, right? Fade out, okay? Naoya Inoue didn't move. He didn't flinch. He didn't do any of that. That's why Donaire was that close. He didn't expect him to hit him straight up like that, because typically no one throws a punch in that exchange. No one will throw a punch back at you like that. I hope they show it in. I didn't get to see this highlight all the way, but I hope they show it. Hold on. Yo, when Donaire went to fake the punch that he was going to throw like this, Naoya Inoue didn't move. He didn't flinch. But Donaire never threw the punch. He went to fake the punch, and he was going to come with the hook. When he went to go like this, Naoya Inoue was standing right there. Instead of going like this to open up, because what happens there, that feint sets you up to block. and then you're going to try to throw the punch, that's when Donaire's punch is going to beat you. Right there. That little pause where the fighter goes to block to throw their punch, that's where they get caught. That's what Donaire wanted. When he feinted like this, he needed to get a reaction out of Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue didn't react, he just punched. So he flipped the setup on Donito Donaire. Donito Donaire was trying to set him up, and he read his setup, and he raised him a setup. That's basically what happened right there. That is exactly what happened. So, and he hit him over the top. So he hits him, right? Now this is with the horsehair Reyes gloves, right? I'm gonna hurt, and although I know the outcome of the fight, right? I've seen the fight 1,000 times. You know, I'm looking at the fight like if I'm watching it sometimes for the first time, man, because I allow myself to feel the moment, you know, and Flash is in there fighting for his life, you know, and this is all a tribute to Naoya Inoue and him as a fighter. It really is. Naoya Inoue, he's just in a league of his own. And his ability right now, he's showing the boxing world that there's levels to this. There are probably some people that report on him or talk about him and probably don't understand him as a fighter. They probably put him in a category of, okay, he knocked some people out. They're not really analyzing his boxing ability or what he's doing to knock these people out. What's going on in the ring? His ring IQ is exceptionally high, really, really high. I talked about this in some videos that there were certain things that I have never ever seen of Naoya Inoue, like him being knocked down in a fight and what him and his father would you know, how they would respond to being knocked down or dropped. For the first time, I saw him get knocked out against Luis Pantera Nari, right? And that answered my question. It showed me, you know, how would he respond? He's a real warrior. You know, sometimes guys get knocked down for the first time and they can't get out of their head. They're thinking about the crowd, about what they're already typing about him, and the fighter can't get it together. Sometimes they're just really extremely hurt and they don't have that option. That option's out the door, and their legs are doing the stinky leg, and the fight's over with. You know, so sometimes some fighters don't get the chance. They get knocked out cold to respond. But what happens when you are given the opportunity? And I saw firsthand how Naoya Inoue got himself back together and dominated the fight from that point on. I mean, Luis Pantera Nari didn't win another second of that fight from that moment. Did he? He really didn't. He didn't even win an exchange after he got up off that ground. That's how dominant Naoya Inoue is. And you know, when you see him fight, he and the reason why I showed a lot of his skills is for that you can get more familiar with what kind of fighter he truly is. Naoya Inoue can really do it all. He's not a one-dimensional fighter. You know, he doesn't come into every fight the same. He really has qualities about him. Like when you know that you're somebody, right? When he was coming up the ranks, not a lot of people had a lot to say about him, did they? No. The minute he started to attract attention and he started to win all these belts that people try to minimize or take away from his success. You know you're somebody when you got people talking about you or hating on you. You know you're somebody, you know? So, yeah, that's what I speak to. You know, Naoya Inoue is like putting himself in the situation where that he's becoming your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. He's really exciting, man, and he's good for boxing. As you can see that, and I've said this several times. I said, look, Naoya Inoue introduced me to divisions and fighters I perhaps would have not ever came across. You know, what attracted me to Naoya Inoue was the fact that I knew that he was great from the moment I first saw him. Yo, from the from the moment I first laid eyes on Naoya Inoue, I knew right there he was a great fighter. I knew he was a great fighter right from the moment, from the first time I ever seen him. There you guys are. How you guys doing? Um, I had to bring you guys' his chat up. I couldn't see you guys' chats on my screen. I seem to be having this problem with this little chat thing because I told you I couldn't see it. So yesterday I tried to like tweak it to make it bigger, and now it's not even coming up on this side. So I'm sorry for the distraction or the break in the video to try to at least get you guys to see you guys' chat, because I'm interested on what you guys have to say about what I'm saying. You know, do you guys see the same thing? You know, there's a lot of fighters that are being covered in the sport of boxing. There's plenty of boxing channels that talk about Tank Davis and all these other guys. You know, sometimes I like to give credit to some of these guys, and since he has a fight just around the corner, you know, do we love boxing, or are we just a fan of one particular boxers? Either way, you're welcome on this show. You know, you could be a fan of one particular boxer and come learn something with us, or teach me something. Leave something in the comment that makes and that's making sense with the conversation and that is an actual point. You know, then I will definitely give you your flowers and put it up on the screen, because this is an educational boxing channel as well. I'm not a particular, you know, fan of just one guy, but I do like to cover um the best boxers we have today, the most elite boxers we have today. And I don't feel that this Japanese dude is really getting his just dues. Now, I'm all for fair competition. I'm all for it. Once we get a guy that can compete against them, you know, we won't get it popping. But until somebody in the world, Germany, Russia, Australia, Ukraine, Mexico, Santo Domingo, Puerto Rico, America, until one of these countries come up and stop this, I want to see which country does. If not, then Japan proves that they had the best fighter in that era for those divisions. He doesn't automatically become the best boxer in all of boxing, because as you know, we have all weight divisions, you know. So look, I don't know where you place him on your list. I don't know how you see this man. There's one thing that I cannot deny. He is one of the best fighters we have in our era. And he is definitely one of the best fighters I have ever seen in quite some time. I've never seen a fighter quite like this that has this many weapons and that is this close to the complete package that I've ever fantasized in my head a fighter should be. Besides Superman, besides that fighter that I imagine in my head that just walks in, one punch a shot, rolls to the crowd, just a dominant. That's a made up guy in my head. The guy that walks in, you know, sometimes I'll even put him in a tough fight where he's coming back in the fight in my head. He's bleeding a little and he gets that knockout and the fans, you know, that's Fantasy Island. He's the closest I've ever seen to actually doing that. He truly is. When they're gonna take a look and they take a step back at Naoya Inoue's record, it's gonna be hard to argue against them. Typically, what they'll probably do is, you know, give him like an award ceremony, try to give him all his flowers in like one short little weekend or something, and then quickly try to talk about somebody else to try to not to get you to see what he actually did. And I think that they've done that to a lot of fighters throughout the course of history. They try to silence Muhammad Ali. You know, they try to do away with the Floyds. They try to like ruin Mike Tyson. You know, whenever another side doesn't like what you're doing and you're creating too much buzz or too much noise, it seems like they want to bring you down. That they don't want you revered by the fans and adored and loved too much. The minute you get too much love, it seems like the world just, they find a way to bring you down. Michael Jordan was the best, right? They couldn't find any other way to get to him, so they attacked him about gambling with his own money. Back then, like nowadays, like who cares what you do with your money? Michael walked away from the sport because of all the cameras constantly asking him about his gambling problem. They made him sound like an addict. And Michael didn't like that. They attacked him another way. So I see when you're great in anything you do, the consensus sometimes will try to bring you down because the people and the powers that be, you know what powers I'm talking about, right? They don't like when an athlete gets too big. Unfortunately, and they start making all these scandals and stuff to make them a little bit more human. You know, they witnessed firsthand when shit really got out of control with fighters like Manny Pacquiao, where people were literally crying, throwing themselves to their feet, like trying to touch him, thinking that if they touched him, that he was like some like angel or something or a god. And they saw that kind of power. People were actually making from villages, like preparing dishes and meals and bringing it to him and laying the meals and offerings at his feet. They saw that. They saw when Michael Jackson was that big and the Beatles and all that. What they have to do, bring them people down, split them up, take away all that, you know, because no one's going to be bigger than the powers that be, right? It's kind of what happens to some of these athletes. And Naoya Inoue is in a situation where that with every fight and the more he does, they're going to be more people attacking him. You're going to hear more stories about him. You know, we've already heard all these stories and they all got debunked one by one. And that's what I love about this guy. Yo, you've never heard him speak. You've never heard Naoya Inoue talk in English besides the time he tried to say happy birthday, Bob. Right? That's it. That's all I've ever heard. I ain't hearing nothing else from him, right? But he speaks louder than words. They accused him of hand wraps and that his power was coming from the ability to wrap his hands. Even though that fight in United States against Jason Maloney was United States, you know, they always said, oh no, you're in Japan and that's why you're knocking people out. So he tells them, well, then how would you like me to wrap my hands? They wrap him them way, goes out, knocks out Stephen Kubo Fulton, right? So I guess it wasn't his hand wraps. They said, oh, he's leaked to steroid testing and this and that. Really? In every title fight, it's mandatory that they take your blood and your urine. That's why I've never seen William Cepeda in a title fight, but all of a sudden he could throw 100 punches in every round. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, get in a title fight where it's mandatory that they take your blood. Let's see how you do then, right? Naoya Inoue is coming on his 22nd consecutive world title fight. 22 fights in a row, they took his blood and urine. That debunks that fucking steroid accusation. What do you mean? And he was like one of the highest testing at one time. Never shies away with it. Complained about it one time. Yo, this steroid shit is getting ridiculous, Naoya Inoue said. It's been 1 week and they tested me 3 times. They came to my house, woke up my kids, knocking on the door all hours of the night. Would you be pissed as an athlete? So no matter, that's why he stopped tweeting and texting and putting things out, because when he, even himself as frustrated as an athlete, they try to twist your words. Now all of a sudden he's trying to avoid steroid testing. He never avoided steroid testing. He complained about them constantly freaking testing in him. And when he kind of like lashed out, oh, now it's because, it must be because he's hiding something. Well, then let's see what he's been doing in the amateurs. Let's see what he was doing his entire career. Oh, knockout, knockout, knockout with headgear and huge gloves. Knockout, knockout. 48 knockouts as an amateur. Outstanding knockout record percentage. He's been this powerful his entire life. So I don't see where they're they are saying all these things like, oh yeah, like, Naoya Inoue his power comes from here. No, everything one by one has been debunked. It's been all debunked. He's legitimately who he is. He stays active. And I showed you this on my last live stream. If I made a video about Marlon Tapales and making accusations and the fans not really understanding how boxing really works, and some people just taking the narrative of saying, look here, MJ is the number 1 ranked in the WBA. Yeah, that would work if he had like 1 belt. Then you could say that, yeah, he needs to fight him, blah, blah, blah. But when you have all 4 belts, there's an order to things and which organization comes first. So you can be the number 1, but you could be the number 1 at the back of the line. So you kind of got like a number 1 dead spot. If these guys can't perform, they go to you. So you're just hoping that your name gets called, or he has to eliminate each number 1 guy to get to you so that you rightfully get your opportunity. You can't just look at it and say from the outside looking in, oh, he has a number 1 spot for the WBA. He's ducking him. Why isn't he fighting him then? Because there's an order, and Naoya Inoue is fighting the exact order of which man next man up. The only hiccup in between that was the TJ Doheny fight, which that wasn't his fault, because if Sam Goodman would have fought him when he thought he was going to fight him, that fight would have kicked off like that. Enters TJ Doheny to save the freaking Naoya Inoue's dates, because Naoya Inoue has dates already in line of when he should fight next. He's not stopping. He's like, yo, I'm going to fight here. 3 months later, I'm going to fight here. 3 months later, I'm going to fight here. It's like a 4-month span in between all his fights. If you count the little break that he has, he typically take like a week or 2 weeks after every fight. He'll take that off. Then it's back to the gym. Then it's training for his opponent, and then the fight is 3.5 months out. So if you look at his dates, he's typically fighting every 4 months. And that's how he managed to fight 4 times in a calendar year. Although the years overlapped each other, the time frame was still a year. See what I'm saying? So that's how he's doing it. So he doesn't want to miss any dates, and he's not going to push any dates back for you. If you can't make the date, call someone else. And that's when typically you get a fight that you're sitting there saying, he's not supposed to be fighting him. Well, what you don't know is that other guy couldn't make the date. He wasn't going to be ready. He told him, I'll fight him. I was sitting on my couch for too long. I wasn't in the gym, and I'm not going to be ready by that date that you're saying. That's what happened to MJ. Whose fault is it that you weren't focused and dedicated to your own career? You were out living the good life, and when you got the phone call that could have changed your life, you weren't ready for it. Whose fault is that? No, I want to fight him. Let's just back up the date. No. Naoya Inoue's date is not getting pushed back for you. He's the one that's being disciplined. He's the one, that's just like going to court late. And the judge looks at you and goes, why are you late to court, young man? Well, I had to do this. I had to, you know what? I'm a judge, and I get here on time for you. I'm here on time for everybody. But you want to come in my courtroom, noontime, talk about give you a break. How arrogant are you? If I got to be here, right? That's sometimes people just think that they could do whatever the hell they want. But you got to respect certain things. Naoya, anyway, listen, man. Look, guys, I'm trying to tell you guys, man. He's just different than a lot of these guys. His dedication, his approach to the game, you know, and a lot of these boxers really need to take a page out of his book, man. And I would love a lot of these younger fighters to really take a page the way he lives in and out of the ring, how serious he is, how he's not willing to let another guy change his plans. This is my date. This is what I'm saying. Can you do it? You can't make it. I'm sorry. I'm moving on to the next fighter. And then sometimes people will take that, like all the other times, they'll try to twist the situation. Now all of a sudden, oh yeah, in a way, it's he fought TJ Doheny. Like that's something funny. TJ Doheny was a ranked opponent, at least in his weight division. Whether or not you want to believe that second ranking by the WBA or whatever, that they gave him that high ranking. He was a former world champion in that division, not on the division above, not bringing somebody down like some other guys do. At least he fought a guy in his division that was worthy in the division, that agreed to fight him too on top of that. Because how many people ran up to the Naoya, yo, I'll fight him? Bullshit. Bullshit. It was a ghost town. When they found out that Sam Goodman wasn't fighting him, they were looking for an opponent. Why was it TJ Doheny the one that picked up the phone and answered it and said, yeah, I'll fight him? Why wouldn't anybody else? What happened to Stephen Kubo Fulton? No, I don't want no part of that, man. I'm moving up here, as a matter of fact. He left the division. And like, there was no one that was going to fight him. Everybody else he beat already. So you gotta watch the shit talking sometimes. It's easy to spin a story, but the truth is the truth. You could dress it up all you want. Oh, Naoya Inoue fought TJ Doheny. Nobody wanted to see that fight. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Just like I want to see him fight Sam Goodman. I want to see that fight. I want to see him finally take Sam Goodman's O away. Yes, I do. I want to see him knock out that little cocky, arrogant motherfucker. Yeah, I want to see that. Yes, I do. Sam Goodman walks around like he's the best thing since sliced bread in Australia, and all Australia boxing fans should bow to him because he's daring to be great. I love that cocky, arrogant shit. Come on, bro. Bring that shit over here, right? You're damn right I want to see Naoya Inoue take an undefeated fighter's O. You're damn right I want to see that shit. I want to see him knock him out. Yes. So to all the people that are sitting there saying, I don't want to see that fight, well, then go watch golf then. Go watch, crocheting. They have the women's crocheting championship somewhere online. Check that out. Maybe you'll learn some tips on how to make a sweater, But as far as for me, as a fighter, bro, you're trying to tell me that the best fighter in the world is about to fight and that I don't want to see who he's fighting against? It doesn't matter who he's fighting against. Don't you understand that? Don't you understand that he made himself that kind of fighter? Yeah, I could speculate, but I'm not going to bet against him. Why? He hasn't shown me anything else to doubt him. I'm nervous for 126, but even though he goes up against Espinoza, I'm going to tell you right now publicly, until I see any flaws in Naoya Inoue, I got Naoya Inoue in that fight against Espinoza. Yes, I do. And matter of fact, I got him against any champion at 126. And I'm going to stand on that. I said that. You guys got my receipts. You guys can pull me on my shit. Anybody can pull me out. I said that 8 months ago. And when Espinoza won the belt, I was like, damn, he's a real fucking threat right there. I still got Naoya Inoue in the fight. And for as nervous as I would be in that fight, I think that would be a tough challenge for the Japanese dude. But I still got him in the fight. Yeah. So, that doesn't mean that he automatically wins because I have him in the fight. No, that don't mean shit. That's just my opinion, right? He would have to actually go out and do that shit, right? Wouldn't he? Because we can't give these fighters credit for shit they didn't do. Nah, we don't do that. That's fantasy island talk, right? I say I got him in the fight, but he still would have to do it. He still would have to go out there and perform. So, yeah, let me read some of you guys' comment. I can see some of the comments going off over here, but today I'm gonna have to be looking a little bit across. But we're gonna touch upon your comments. What's up, guys? How you doing, Carlos? Thank you for joining. Everybody in the chat family. Salute to the chat family. Give yourselves a round of applause. And let me read some of these comments here. You know what I'm saying? Warlock Boxing, WEPA, Puerto Rico. What's up, baby? Love your truthfulness, thoughts, and talks. Thank you. Yes, you do. Wow, I can't put you guys' messages up on this over here. For some reason, it's not allowing me to use any of my yeah, I mean, I tried, guys. I want to put your comments up and I want to give you shout out for your comment and everything, even though I'm like reading it from even a further distance. So excuse me if I mess up any names or pronounce anything wrong right now. I think Goodman is a really good fighter, but he's not a legend. I can't see it going past 4 rounds. No, actually, Sam Goodman is a good fighter. I don't see it past going 3. You got one more round than me. My official one was he doesn't get past 6 or 7. I gave a fighter's credit and I said, because on average, the way that Marlon Tapales went into the 6, 7 round, Stephen Kubo Fulton, they went into that area where it was 6, 7, and 8. And he got stopped in the 8th, but he was in that area right there. I felt like that was the time he was going to stop him. So that's the area where that I'm giving Goodman. I'm going to give him that. My gut feeling tells me he doesn't get past 3. I said this. Unfortunately, I said this. I'm not trying to shit on Sam Goodman, but I'm also speaking my feelings. And I said this. Naoya Inoue beat better fighters than that on the way to the fight. He beat up Sam Goodman on the way to a fight. Fighters like that. And what makes it so much worse for Sam Goodman is that he's actually good. He boxes like a boxer, like Sam Goodman's form. He's more, with the way he throws his form, that he wants to look good. It's like that one guy on the basketball court that's concerned on looking good. He looks like Michael going to the rim, but throws up a brick. He has all the moves, jumping in the air, swinging aside, under his leg, around his head, brick. He's too, he'd rather look good in his sneakers than concentrate on hitting the bucket, right? Sam Goodman is worried about looking good rather than being a power puncher and sitting down on his punch and having confidence on trying to set up a guy. He's a good puncher. He knows how to look for openings too, Sam Goodman. He's not stupid, bro. He didn't become he's undefeated and the #1 ranked in 2 organizations for nothing. The guy can fight. He can fight. But like I said, when you're good in fighting against Naoya Inoue, he's sharper in the counters. Sam Goodman's not going to want to sit there and exchange with Naoya Inoue. He's not going to want to go punch for punch with him. That much I do know. He's not going to want to sit there and wait for Naoya Inoue and think that you're going to be fast enough to catch him in a counter. No. What you got to do is kind of what Luis Pantera Nari did, bro. Luis Pantera Nari threw that shot. He didn't wait to see the shot. He didn't wait to see it. He just knew the punch was going to be there, that he was going to be there. That's called good preparation. That's called good coaching. That's called good game plan. Luis Pantera Nare did his homework, and he landed the shot. Here's the problem. I tell you guys this all the time. The problem with the elite fighters and the legends and the great fighters, if you hit them with a big shot, good. Good luck on trying to hit him with that same shot again in that fight. You're not going to be able to do it. Any punch, and I dare you to go back and look at any shot Mayweather ever got hit, staggered, or stunned from his opponent, from Shane Mosley, from Zab Judah, from any boxer that ever hit him with that one shot. Go watch the fight. They never in the rest of the round, the rest of the fight, ever get to hit him with that shot again. He saw what he did wrong. He saw where you were at. You hit him with that shot, good, but you're not going to hit him with that shot ever again. Did Luis Pantera Nare land that shot on Naoya Inoue again that entire fight? No. Did he throw it? Yes. Was Naoya Inoue there anymore? No. So if you happen to hit the greats and the legends with that shot, you better have something else in your bag, because that's just not going to win you the fight. So when Sam Goodman, if he can't just stay there and think that any kind of success that he gets to keep that success, no, he's already recorded that. Naoya Inoue is that good. You know, he has good abilities, man, and he knows fighting. He knows, what he did wrong. So you're going to have to switch it up. Every round, you can't come out typically the same way. You can't keep circling to the same side with Naoya. That's not going to beat him. You're going to have to keep giving him different looks. You're going to have to switch it up like Marlon Tapales did. Marlon Tapales, switched it up real good, and I hate talking about Marlon Tapales because I always say Marlon Tapales, when I'm talking about MJ and Marlon Tapales, for some reason, somewhere in my reporting, their names got tangled in my head. Sometimes when I'm talking about one fighter, I call him his name, and I call the other fighter his name. I don't know where that happened to me, but please bear with me and forgive me for that. But if you can catch on to the fact that when I do that, I'll call MJ Marlon Tapales all day. I don't know why I do that. And I noticed that I've been doing it. But please, I'm trying to catch that. And if you're, you're like, okay, I see what he's doing, he is talking about the right guy and shit. It's just, he had a brain fart and ended up calling him his name. I apologize for that, but I have a tendency of doing that sometimes. But know that my intentions are good and what I'm talking about. I'm working on it, and I'm trying not to mix their names up. But somehow in my head, I noticed that I'll do that once I start talking about these fighters, and in particular them two men. I don't know what it is with their names, whether it's the M or something in my head. It just comes out like that. So please forgive me when I'm talking about MJ and I end up calling them Marlon Tapales. I don't know why I do that. It happens. But I'm working on it. So, when he fought these guys, like Marlon Tapales, and I'm talking about Marlon Tapales right now, okay? Marlon Tapales did switch it up every round. He gave him different looks to Naoya Inoue. He came out one round like this, one round like this, one round like this. He was giving him different looks, and he was switching up his style, his approach, because he noticed that Naoya Inoue would reset and watch him doing what he's doing. But Naoya Inoue is so smart that in the fight, he started to say, when Marlon Tapales was having success in the round, which I think the 7th round was like one of his best rounds, right? if I can remember correctly. And Naoya Inoue went out the next round and he really tested his style. Meaning, if you have a style in boxing, Floyd Mayweather, right? He adopted the Philly shell. Floyd Mayweather's Philly shell came with the type of defense and an offense off what he was doing. If you threw punches at him in the Philly shell, he didn't get out of the Philly shell to block your punches. No, he developed the style where that he was still in the Philly shell and evading your punches. That is a boxing style. You have an offense to your style. You have a defense to your style. Okay? All right. When you're faking a style, you typically don't do the same thing twice, right? Because you're faking it. You're in there going like this and trying to tell the other guy, this is your fighting style. But every time he attacks you, you break out of your defense, or you go in like this, or you use some other method. That's when the fighter will understand, wait a minute, you don't have a fighting style. You're just doing anything. You're just doing anything in the fight. That's when the other guy figures you out. That's when Naoya Inoue was testing Marlon Tapales' style in the ring, and he figured out, wait a minute, you're just doing anything. You really don't have a fluent style that if I attack you, you're going to flow. Right? If he attacks him, he's just going to do anything. He doesn't have an answer. In my style, if you come to my left, I do this. If you come to my right, I do this in my style. And if you pressure me, this is what I do to you in my offense, and I quickly get back into my style defense. I'm not just doing anything. Naoya Inoue figured that out like that. Ended him. He punched him so hard through the guard that even when Marlon Tapales partially blocked some of his shots, them shots were fucking echoing through his head, and he dropped them. The announcer was even stunned in that fight. He was talking like he didn't think that the punch was that big. Then all of a sudden you saw Marlon Tapales staggered back and go down to the knee. He took the knee, and then his glove touched the canvas, and he was just, his eyes were out of it. When he ended Luis Pantera Nare, it was so vicious, right? His neck violently snapped back against the rope. And you can see Luis Pantera's lifeless body just slide down the ropes. And then his mouthpiece just comes out, hits his glove, and he looks like he's been out on a binge all night in a Mexican party in a brothel somewhere, and he's just like doesn't know where he is. That's exactly Naoya Inoue put him right there. And he was out of his mind. He was so hurt. He was looking around like, where the hell am I? What am I doing? At that moment, I think he was saying to himself, why didn't I become a plumber or a welder? You know what I'm saying? I think I made the wrong career choice. He had him second guessing himself for a second there, but Luis Pantera Nare is a warrior. He'll be back in action. He's got a fight schedule. He's gonna do his thing. Hats off to Luis Pantera Nare and the Mexican fighters. They're fucking warriors, bro. You know what I mean? So Australia now is challenging Japan. And Australia is trying to invade Japan right now and take all 4 of those belts and bring them back to Australia. So I'm interested to see the competition, of different fighters from different parts of the world fight each other. That's what I love. That's what I love to watch boxing and see the best men and women kick ass. There's a lot of fighters we can talk about. There's a lot of fighters that just came into my mind, just flooded my mind, but I'm trying to keep this really on Naoya Inoue. I love to bounce around. You guys know me. I just don't talk about one fighter. If you know me, you've been watching me long enough that you'll know that I'll even talk about a little bit about your favorite fighter or something about it, and then I'll talk about other fighters, and then I'll come back So if you keep watching my videos, I typically give you the good, the bad, and the ugly. But you're going to have to watch the entire video to get that, because I'll bounce around, bring up other situations and things like that of boxing. But all of it has to do with our beloved sport. The fact that you get in the ring and in front of everybody, there's no greater feeling, man, than put a man on his back in the ring with the lights and the whole world watching. No one can save him. Just you and him. All the shit talking aside, your boys got to sit there and watch it. You got to watch it. Ain't nobody can save you, bro. All that shit you was talking, you're going to have to back that shit up. And guess what? I'm going to have to back mine up too. There's no greater feeling in the world. As a fighter, man, listen, there was a point in time, even to like now, there was a point in time where I would eat, sleep, shit, think, fighting. Whether it was boxing, street fighting, whatever. I couldn't turn fighting off in my head. I just knew that I walked around more calm, and I tried to avoid situations because the inner side of inner me, if I could just be me, I'd probably walk down the street fucking fighting all the time, right? But you got to control that shit. Fighting taught me a lot. It made me a better person. It made me a respectable man. Ironically, you would think that fighting would make you more violent or whatever, but it actually made me more cautious. Where that the fact that I'm not the type of man, just because I know I can do what I can do, will take the opportunity of you saying something slick and saying, "Oh, that merits me whooping his ass." I was there at one point in my life, and I won't lie. There was a time I was a bully, even, in fact, and then all my views changed at a real young age, about, I don't know, 15, maybe 14, some shit like that, with my coach. And it was better to be stronger inside. If you cross the line, my coach said all bets were off. Defend yourself. Do what you got to do. But to have the discipline to not just to react and to hurt people just because you can. And that's where the discipline came in. Learning how to see the beauty in fighting. Earning another man's respect. Him fighting you. And even getting whooped either in the ring or in the gym, sparring, and being humbled and knowing that you got to get better. And when you get better, you can obviously see that you're better than the most average person. And it made me have more humility and be more, like, not to be that bully, and to use what I got in a good way. I guess with growing older and my wisdom as, being in fighting and watching a lot of bullying go on in front of me, or wishing that sometimes that, that watching a fight and a guy get beat and saying to yourself, I wish you would try to do that shit with me. I had to kind of like knock that shit off in my head of always trying to put on my cape to save everyone. Sometimes you got to mind your business, and sometimes you just got to let nature be itself and let that man be himself. And that's where the discipline comes in. The when and the where. I'm not going to let you snatch grandma's purse in front of me. That's never going to happen. We're going to have to go at it. Y'all going to have to stomp me out, because I'm not going to let that go down. I'm not going to let any acts of violence in front of me that I feel how I deemed unnecessary. Whether the person was in the right or the wrong, okay, you beat him, let him go. And I'll tell that other person, yo, you really don't want to do this, and put yourself in jail for this. Just think about it. And sometimes it don't work out the way in your head, but I'm talking about the discipline that fighting gave me, in fact, and what kind of man it actually made me inside. I didn't go inwards with it. Ironically, maybe, I don't know. I never really thought about it. Right. But I've seen fighters get better and they get worse as a person. Now they know they can kick ass, and they become even more aggressive, and they become even more of a bully. I've seen that too. But luckily I had a good coach, and that's the way he taught me. He wouldn't train me if I went out and he heard I got into a street fight. He would not train me in the gym. If Carlos Garcia found out that I was outside bullying people for the Ionic Boys Club in Worcester, he wouldn't train me. In fact, he'll kick you off the team. He didn't like that shit. And if anybody knows that man, shouts out to that man. He gave a lot to fucking, and he's not dead. I just like, cause he's a staple in our city, man. All of the young kids and girls that he helped, and our coach, if you're not familiar with our coach, he's not a worldwide coach or whatever, but he's that for us in our community. He was sentenced to prison for a life sentence. He killed a man, and in prison, there were a lot of rumors of what actually took place, but there was a prison riot, and they stabbed some guard, and Carlos fought off the guys and held his blood, his wounds, for that the guard wouldn't die, and the guard lived. The guard woke up and said the only reason why he was alive because Carlos Garcia fought the guys off and helped him. Carlos Garcia, in that moment, I guess, was like his humanity side stepped in and was like, no matter if you guys want to do this to him, you guys did enough to him. He doesn't deserve to die. This guy has a family. He's a dad. He's a father. And Carlos Garcia's human side stepped in, and he saw that he needed help, and he helped the guy out. Whether how everybody wants to view that, the streets or whatever. On doing so, the judge and I guess the state of Massachusetts deemed him to had saved that man's life. They kind of took it a life for a life, and they released him out of prison on like a lifetime parole, something like that. And he dedicated his life, and he told the judge, if you release me, I'll dedicate my life to the Boys and Girls Club of Worcester, Massachusetts, and I vow from every moment from the day I get out to try to save some of these kids from these streets and give back. And the way he could was because he was a boxer. And from that day on till this day, bless that man's heart. Like, he's done so much for the community and for us, and the way he made us feel as fighters. I remember when we didn't have no money. We entered the tournament, right? Right? We didn't have our matching shirts and shit. Like, we're poor as shit, right? We're in the locker room, and everybody else has like their team outfits on and shit, and we're literally sitting there taking off our shirts from every fight and like giving it to the next guy, right? We were embarrassed and shit. I'll never forget that day. Carlos, like, he was out there doing like adult shit and shit. I didn't understand it at the time. He was out there making bets and shit. Like, he was betting on us. And he was coming back and saying, yo, you gotta win. You gotta win. I want you to fight. And he didn't put the pressure on us and tell us what he was doing. He didn't say nothing. He didn't say shit, right? He just told us, do your best. That's all he said. And we went out there and won. That next week, man, he went and took all the money. He betted on us and bought us uniforms. Oh, we was happy. Yeah. That was just like the shit, man. We went out there and won with them uniforms that night. We didn't lose a single fight. None of us did. We were psyched. And he took us to McDonald's and shit. That man did it a lot for us, man. He took like his own money, bought us mouthpiece, hand wraps. He didn't have to do that shit. Yeah. You know, And those are the men and women that really like, make these fighters and shit. And they don't get a lot of credit. And I just want to give shouts out to all the coaches out there that stick with these kids and, you know, show them the way. Thank you for everything you do. From me to you, round one sports talk. Shit. I didn't think that was gonna bring up that much emotions out of me. You know what I mean? um, but it was just a great time. That was just a great time. Unfortunately, inner city kid. I made bad decisions, unfortunately, and I'll say this publicly. I'm the definition of wasted talent. I really am. I was pretty good. I was pretty good, man. But I'll never know, really, would I? Because some of us fall through these pitfalls in life, and unfortunately we don't have enough role models or dad figures in our lives. I didn't, and I was left to my own devices, and unfortunately I fell through the cracks. I'll never be embarrassed to say that, but you know what I mean, like I always say, I embrace these situations in my life, and I embrace the things because of it makes me a better man, a better person, and I'll reinvent myself in the sport that I love. And these are ways I find ways to give back, to cover these fighters, to bring these exciting fights to you guys, and to talk to you guys about anything and fighting and stuff like that. So that's what I enjoy to do. Um, and that's what I try to do with every show that I put on. Um, just to keep the sport alive, always. So yeah. Naoya anyways eating that liver. MJ better come what? Prepared. He can't lose again. Yo, listen, this week, I had talked about that on yesterday's episode, guys. That out of all this M shit that MJ's talking, he better come prepared because, like, worst case scenario, come on, guys, he gets wiped down. He ends up getting wiped down this weekend, on the 14th. He ends up getting wiped down. Then we're gonna be like, yo, what happened to all you guys saying that this was the one, this was the guy? And remarkably, Naoya Inoue beat the guy that beat him. But in fighting, like I said, you can't really judge like that because styles make fights, and there's different kinds of styles in these fights. So Naoya Inoue definitely, but I still have Naoya in a way dominating in that fight against MJ. I just don't think that MJ has enough fighting championships. He's been put in enough championship experiences. Yes, he can fight, but as you saw when he fought Marlon Tapales really outboxed him. And in that fight, MJ came alive in the second half of the fight. Marlon Tapales was just I didn't understand what MJ was doing in that fight when I was watching it. I said to myself, he's like giving away these rounds, or this guy is truly outboxing him like that. Then he started to pick it up later in the round, MJ, and he started to like catch Marlon Tapales. MJ started to catch Marlon Tapales, and he was having success, but Marlon Tapales bit down on the mouthpiece, kept coming forward. He was starting to tire out in that fight. I can remember that fight. And MJ was, had it been like a fucking 15-round fight, 13-round fight, it might have been different, but it came to a conclusion at 12 rounds. And Marlon Tapales walked away with his belts. So, you know, even though he got a late start, Loma got a late start, I felt, against Tio. I was like, damn, how many rounds is he going to give away? Like, when I was watching that fight, I'm saying to myself, at some point, Loma's going to fight. Like, when are you going to start fighting? And then he started fighting Tio. Sometimes that can play, that strategy, a lot of fighters employ it. Tank Davis uses it. A lot of fighters where They're just going forward, putting pressure. The anxiety and you going backwards alone is going to get you somewhat fatigued. You got to control that shit and start fighting comfortably and push him back and start push him back and start having him go backwards, right? So Loma was just high guarding it, pushing into Tio's chest, trying to see if Tio would panic and throw unnecessary punches, work unnecessarily, and continue going backwards. It will get you fatigued. If you can't pull that style off, you just gave away 4 or 5 rounds. Now you got to come back in the fight because this guy's cardio is holding up. He was training. He was doing. Now you're like, shit. So when fighters pull that kind of style off, they got to make sure that they execute. They got to make sure that that other guy he's getting he feels like he's getting the right amount of work out of him. And he's able to block his shots, and he can see it. See, because in the ring, the fighter's the closest to the other fighter. He's the one that can actually tell when that fighter is starting to crack. Sometimes fighters got good poker faces on and they're not giving you nothing. Like Mayweather, you couldn't tell if he was hurt. He had the same face, like it never changed. Naoya Inoue, same thing. Sometimes fighters wear their emotion on their sleeve that you can see it. He's like, or he's hurt. He's like, they give away too much. And that's sometimes things you have to work on in the gym. Those are other aspects to the fight game. Not giving your opponent too much, not making them think that you're scared of them, you know. There were a lot of guys in situations and matches that would really hurt. Later on, they'll go back and they'll talk about it and they go, yo, at this point in the fight, you hit me, I was rocked. If you would have came forward, I was going to give up. Guy's like, what? He's like, yo, but he was his face, he couldn't tell. He was like, but in that moment, that guy was like this, and inside his body, he was like, ah, right? But outside, he's like, and he didn't pick up on it. So those are some of the things that, Buff Fight fans, listen, man, you guys have been amazing. It's been a great episode. Yo, thank you, Bam Bam. Yo, it's been an amazing episode. It's been a great episode. I can't wait for this fight on December 24th. Bam, it's pretty late now. 2:00. I gotta get my daughter stuff. Let me see if I go on tonight too. I'm exhausted with all this shopping, man. Well, I'm going around every morning shopping, I'm trying to get away from my wife to do her shopping for her while she's, and then we're going out together buying for my daughter and stuff like that. So this Christmas stuff has got me, and I really wanted to lock in on 9:00, but unfortunately, it's just because of these holiday things, because that's when I can slip out and try to get the gifts that I need, that the people in my house that are with me, I don't want watching, seeing the gift, or being with me in the store, that I got to do that stupid shit. Don't come on this side of the store, honey, and walking out, and she already knows you're buying her something, like, you know what I mean? And then she's like, she's looking around in the store that you're in, making sure it ain't the dollar store. Motherfucker, don't buy me nothing from Dollar Tree, right? Right? So you don't want her in the store with you when you're out and about, and like you're in the appliance or whatever. I don't want to be that guy. Honey, don't look over here. Come on, man, right? So when I can, I'll get away and I'll do what I can. But thank you, fight fans, for tuning in. Please don't forget to smash the like button on this video if you haven't. Please subscribe to the channel. And maybe today I'll throw the link in tonight, and we can have some people, if you want to come in, we'll talk boxing. But like always, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Happy holiday to you and yours out there. Stay